A season opener with massive recruiting implications. That's what we're talking about today on Warchant TV. I am flanked by Warchant.com's recruiting tandem, senior recruiting analyst Michael Langston, recruiting analyst, and team reporter Matt Lasser. DQ Forkpa. Florida State, and Michael's going to get to it in just a minute, Florida State landed a premier commit at the position of linebacker, but Forkpa is going to be on campus, and I don't think they'd turn him away. What's the circumstances around this visit and this recruitment?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Doing some research, if they were to land him, it would be the first time they got two blue-chip linebackers in a class since 2019 when it was Jaleel McCray, who's now on the staff, and Kalen DeLoach, who I think had a pretty good career at Florida State. So, yeah, it's a kind of uncharted territory for this staff right now. And, Forkpa, it's been kind of an interesting recruitment. At first, it looked like all Florida, right? He came out of the visit at Florida State. It went well, but pretty quickly after, reports were that he was going to Florida. He had a commitment date set for July 12th, and then pretty last second, he said, yeah, we're not ready. We're not committing today. Since then, Florida State and Michigan have been the two teams that have kind of picked up the pace here. From what I've been hearing from sources around them, it's Florida State has been trending. It seems like Florida has kind of fallen off and gotten quiet in this recruitment, which is interesting. And so I think Florida State has a good shot here to show on a good, if they have a good visit, which I assume they will. It's not a surprise that he's coming, but I was talking to some people around Forkpa after Williams committed going hey, does this kind of mean Florida State's out of it now? Obviously the position room is more crowded. You have a guy that's going to be hard to start over with Isaiah Williams. But he was like, actually, I think it helps them more because it shows him that high talented linebackers want to go to Florida State. So I think if anything, it's going to help this recruitment that they got Isaiah Williams as well. And we're just excited to see him on campus.
Isaiah does make his way on campus this weekend, too, so the two can speak to each other, should they both make it to Tallahassee. And, Michael, this is a recruitment that, good Lord, wait 5 minutes, just like the weather in Florida in the afternoon in the summer, and things change. He promises he shut it down this time around, and he's going to be on campus to that effect for this game. He was already scheduled, I think, to be here, but now he'll be on campus as a commit. Tell me a little bit more about the Isaiah Williams commitment, and do you buy it that this thing is in 2025, 2026 world actually shut down?
Yeah, Isaiah's a really interesting story. I think there's a perception about him that isn't accurate, as far as the type of kid he is. I'm not saying that just because he's an FSU commit. I'm saying that because I know people around him. I know people, look into him, and he was getting pulled a lot of different ways, but Tom, I would lean more towards yes. I do believe what he's saying because of FSU's one of his first commitments, and that didn't tamper off until FSU started screwing up and looking terrible, and then they was like, what kind of future I have there? Not to say that would happen this time, and still, I just think he's a guy that wants to be a part of something that's a build. With FSU. That's the intel I've gotten, where he wants to be a part of something that's special, that's new, that's you're starting over to a degree of moving, getting back to that what we saw in 2023. So I think he's excited about being a part of that, from what I can gather. And I think he's very serious about that. He doesn't plan on going anywhere else. He's not going to plan on taking any more visits. That was confirmed again to me this morning. A few calls, and I think his plan is to just kind of build his connection with FSU and build trust with them and even the people around them in the community. So I think that's part of the reason. Get to know some of these commits because he doesn't know a lot of these commits. So I think a lot of this visit is for him to build a connection with everyone.
Let's get back to 2027, Matt. A quarterback prospect in Kavion Bryant, who's going to be on campus, marquee game, marquee position. Tell me about what's going on this weekend with Kavion.
Yeah, I also want to point out he's from Texas. That's an important thing for me. This is a huge recruitment. He's the number one quarterback in Rivals, right? He's the number one quarterback in Rivals. I'm probably going to do a story on it later. This has that potential to be that DJ Lagway from Norvell, right? That big-time quarterback that could keep him his job later down the line if you can land him. And from talking to people around him this week, there's been a lot of reports out from national guys like Steve Wilthong, Chad Simmons, Sam Spiegelman, that it's Texas Tech, Texas, and Florida State and off the bat, a Texas kid, you're like, well, Florida State's probably going to lose this one, right? Especially you got Texas Tech, and they're going to offer so much money. But talking to some people around them, there's a sense that Florida State might be the front runner here. I don't know by how much or if it is, but it is pretty close. And even Steve Wiltfong also heard the same, that they could be that front runner. So, and a lot of it goes back to that last visit he took. The interactions with the coaches were really good. And I think Florida State really just needs to build on that. And again, they need to show improvement on the offensive side of the ball here. I mean, he's a guy we would love to have in a Gus Miles on offense, right? A mobile quarterback who can do whatever, can play basketball too. Laux and company are recruiting him as well. I do know that football for him takes precedent over basketball. It's a 1A, 1B situation, but it's Florida State's in a good spot here to my surprise. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you.
Well, he's the number one quarterback right now in Rivals 2027 rankings. That would be quite the coup for Florida State and for Gus Malzahn, who doesn't have the most quarterback-friendly reputation when you're talking about recruiting rankings and grabbing high-end 4-star or 5-star borderline prospects. Michael, we're coming back to Mark Matthews now. This is a big prospect, literally, for Florida State to get on campus. Tell me about what Florida State's trying to do with this prospect here as they get him on campus for the Alabama game.
Yeah, you have the St. Thomas Aquinas standout. They lost a close game to Mater Dei for those that missed the last weekend. They've been on him for a long time against the FSU Miami battle. I would slightly lean towards Miami just because he's probably seen them more frequently. Gonna see, I think, both of them this weekend. So I think it's a big key to set the tone. It's kind of to Matt's point where they need to show something, of what their plans are with him. And the best illustration for that is to show that on the field against a team that's a top competition like Alabama. And I think that's what recruits are looking for, is like who's playing, who's developing, who's what the unit looks like, and overall just the offense in general. Is this an offense I feel that's fun, exciting? I think that's some things that FSU needs to showcase, when Matthews is on campus.
Again, that's another 2027 prospect. So the number one tackle, the number one quarterback here on campus in Tallahassee for the weekend against Alabama. One more quarterback who's going to be on campus. He's no slouch himself, out of Lowndes. Love this footprint of the country, does Florida State. One of the great returners in Florida State history from Lowndes and Valdosta, Georgia. 6'3", 205-pound Jace Johnson, the number 3 quarterback, Matt, in the Rivals rankings in 2027. Florida State's got some competition on campus, not just the number 1 guy, but another top 3 arm.
Yeah, and they have another quarterback in Logan Flaherty as well. So they kind of stacked this weekend with some good quarterback talent that they're looking at. For Jace Johnson, obviously committed to Texas A&M. He only committed about a month ago. And it's interesting because, when a quarterback commits to a school, normally you expect them to be pretty locked in, right? You don't really see many visits to other schools. It's because you're expected to be the leader of the class. And if you're going around and you're seeing other campuses, that's not really perceived as the leader of the class, right? It looks like you're looking elsewhere. So when a quarterback takes any kind of visit outside of where he's committed to, it's a big deal. And, Jace Johnson is no exception to that. I think Florida State was in this one till the end when he committed to A&M last month. Clearly, they've kept that communication going. So we'll kind of see what happens. I think that Kavion Bryant is still their number 1 guy. That if they both were to come to you right now and say, I want to commit, I think you would take Kavion Bryant. I do remember when Jace Johnson was committing, or like when he was about to commit to A&M, looking over at their message boards, I believe it's Aggie Yell for the On3 site. They did say that Texas A&M is going to keep going after quarterbacks, even with Jace Johnson committed. So that puts another layer onto this, right? You even look back to the Jaden O'Neal situation for the 2025 cycle of these guys couldn't, if you see them going after another quarterback, it's not that you're getting offended, but you want to be in a 1 quarterback class because that's your best chance to get on the field. So if Texas A&M is still going after guys, why shouldn't Jace Johnson go look at his options? So I think you look at Kavion Bryant as your number 1. If you can't land Kavion Bryant, which again, they're in a good spot for, but long way to go, then you're looking at flipping Jace Johnson. And after that, Logan Flaherty, who I mentioned a little bit, is another guy who's coming as well.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, we're talking about, a quarterback position here. We're talking about offensive line. Michael's bringing up a 2027 top tackle in the class, a couple of linebackers. This is but the tip of the iceberg, everybody. So head over to warchant.com right now for all the information on all the visitors. Again, over 100 visitors going to be on campus, and it's not like they're saying yes to everybody. They're being choosy and picky at Florida State about who gets to come for this marquee matchup against Alabama on Saturday. Here's the great news for you, everybody. Because we have a normal Labor Day weekend Saturday game, you got 48 hours after the game's over to take in all the information on the premium recruiting board, and we're incentivizing you to do that right now. Sign up for $1 for your first week at warchant.com. You will also get a year of access to The Athletic with your membership, and if you're one of the first 100 to do this and sign up as a new subscriber, we're also bonusing you $25 to Garnet and Gold. So you want Nole gear, you want access to read about other sports, in addition to the best place to get Florida State recruiting information? Well, it's all in one package right now. Join for $1 for your first week at warchant.com, and you'll get athletic access and $25 to Garnet and Gold. We just got smarter today, everybody, but get real smart and head over to the premium recruiting board. Michael, thank you so much. Matt, thank you so much. We're going to talk to you next time right here on Warchant TV. And if there's any breaking news recruiting-wise, subscribe to the channel, because you'll hear about it right here on Warchant TV. Thanks, guys.